Hello, checking in with Queenie by Candace Carty Williams. Up to we've just finished chapter 5, where Queenie's not had great rebound times with dudes while she is trying to get over her asshole boyfriend, Tom, who has insisted on a break, which we find out in flashbacks. He's angry at her because he ruined his is it grandmother's party when fuckhead used the N word in conversation with her, and it's just like motherfucker. And it's like she's the problem, and she's the one who has to apologize, and it's just like oh my god. And she calls him, leaves a message saying like I need to talk to you about something urgent about the miscarriage. It's like, well, it was kind of a part of him as well, and maybe he should know, but he doesn't. He isn't gonna. He's not calling her back. Um, she goes on a date with the slimy, sex obsessed Indian guy. I mean, sex obsessed is one thing, but just he wants her to suck his cock, and she's like, no, I don't do that, and but does have intercourse and all that stuff. But it's just like, oh, and she regrets it. Regrets it the next day. But it's just like something to kind of try and take her mind off of that. And so she's very much like, okay, I'm going to swear off men for the next while and focus on work. I'm working at this newspaper. I'm just filing copy and things like that. I want to pitch some stories and things like that. Really kind of get focused. At which point, and she keeps on feeling really faint and kind of almost collapsing, probably to do with having had this miscarriage, the horrible pain in her gut. When Tweedy, this guy in tweed, who he helps her up when she falls. And it's funny, in all of these talks they've had, I think I mentioned that um, that her asshole boyfriend kind of is always kind of putting her down, is always um, is always like, saying super ultra possessive creepy things to her jokingly. And the very first thing that this guy says to her when she says like, oh, I'm so sorry, I fell and I got up, it's like I'm being a bother, and he said, you don't apologize, you don't have to apologize, which is like, that's the first male who hasn't said some micro fucking aggression thing at her. Oh, she also did OK Cupid, where they're all like, ooh, chocolate, as she says, oh great, I'm being completely fetishized, or oh, I'd like to, basically, how big are your boobs, or stuff like that. All the really charmers that you would find on OK Cupid. He actually says, don't apologize, which I think is the big blaring trumpet that, here is the guy who isn't a prick, isn't an asshole. Now, whether that will carry all the way through, I think he is also probably going to be white. There's some hints here about her mother, who is in a hostel, and hopefully she's going to grow a spine, which makes me think that maybe she has a history of abusive men, and this is something that she's seen in her mother, and maybe a part of why she's not into black men is that there's some sort of history back there of triggering of violence, which isn't to say that all black men are violent, but just that she has somehow made that connection, and thus has influenced her choice of sexual partners. And so she ends up going out for drinks with him. And it's like, oh, and she goes to a place where a lot of her senior managers are, so she's seen having drinks with him, and they get along really well. And indeed, she gets along so well that she's late. She's almost late to go to these fireworks with her friends, who are called the corgis, because the corgis are the ones who support, the queen. so are the Queen's supporters. So, and they're like all like, you're having, you had drinks with a work guy, and there's like, dipping your pen in the company ink, maybe not a great idea. Um, and it's like, well, does he have a girlfriend? Like, did he make a point of saying he had a girlfriend? It's like, no. Well, if he didn't do the kind of the girlfriend, the girlfriend press, then you're he probably means he's single and that he thinks that that was a date. The girlfriend press being dudes who have any, get any kind of interest from a woman will make a point of saying, oh, yeah, my girlfriend has that laptop. I think is what is one of the examples that's given. So yeah, it's interesting. Listen to like this. One of them is one of her friends has an old partner, and by old we mean somebody in his 40s, which as a white dude in his 50s, it's like, oh, yes, I truly am completely ancient, but I am finding it kind of an interesting, engaging story, and you know, just life of a certain generation where, electronics, emails, and all that is just like it's a part of life. Um, okay, Cupid actually feels like it might be a bit dated, but yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. So I will continue on more videos later.